Hello everyone, this is part 8 of What If Naruto Trained with the Akatsuki, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist. To see more, comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Are you sure you don't want to stay any longer? An elder asked Ru, Kyosaku, and Ketsu as they were about to head out of the village. We have stayed for the funeral out of respect for him. But I don't think I can bear this any longer. Ru said sadly. What are you planning to do? The elder man asked. I'm going to find him, and make him regret what he's done, Ru said coldly. With that, the Tenushihai left the village of Konoha, dashing deep into the forest. A few hours later, Ketsu suddenly stopped and looked at his two comrades in pure sadness. Ketsu, what's wrong? Kyosaku asked him. I know that we are the Tenushihai, and I know that no matter how long I stay, I can never replace Guru. I planned on staying longer, but this must be the end of our journey together, Ketsu said softly. What? Ru asked, completely surprised. We've all stuck together for practically 3 years now. We're like a family, and you want to leave us just like that? Ketsu stayed silent for a moment, but then said, going back to Konoha really got me thinking. Especially that night when we were in a fight. I thought to myself, what have I been doing all these years? And the answer was simple. I said, training. But then I realized that that was not the case. Then what have you been doing with us all these years? Ru asked, a bit irritated. I've spent 3 years of my life, subconsciously trying to avoid what I've wanted all this time, revenge. 3 years later, and nothing has happened, I haven't done anything at all. Ketsu said. You've been training with us, to get stronger. How can you call that nothing? Kyosaku shouted. When I'm with you guys, I feel as if I could take my time, and get this all done sooner or later. But when I went back to Konoha, I realized that all I was doing was making excuses for me. That's why I have to leave you now. A family, you say? Yes, definitely. But I have to decide, because I can't waste my life traveling around from place to place. I've desired for revenge for so long, yet I haven't done anything to get it. It's time I took action, and I just can't do that when I'm with you. Ketsu said. So that's what we are, huh? A distraction, an obstacle in your path to revenge? Ru asked. Let me tell you one thing, Ketsu. If you walk out on us now, then there won't ever be a place for you here, do you understand that? Ru, Kyosaku said, but she was interrupted. No. If we're family, then he won't do this to us. He says he has to make a decision, it's either us, or his revenge. You say you can't have both, so decide now. But don't expect to come back if you don't choose us. Ru said coldly. Ketsu looked at the ground silently, and then said, I'm sorry Ru, and I'm sorry Kyosaku, but I must do this. This is the reason I strive to live. Jiraiya was a father to me, I can't just let his death be in vain, I choose my revenge. If that's the way you feel about this, then so be it. But I will always be here for you, if you ever need me, I will be there. Goodbye. With that, Ketsu left in another direction than the one they were headed to. From that point on, the Tenushihai was no more. Saru looked around cautiously as he stood over the rubble that was once his home. There were a few walls standing, but nothing beyond that was left intact. After being there a few moments, he could already tell he was not alone. Soon enough, 2 men appeared in black cloaks just like in his memory. There was the short and fat one, and the taller one. Their faces were covered from their cloaks. You, Saru said. So I see that you are of the Amatari clan. We could use another one like you. The tall one said. Where is my brother? Saru said angrily as he tightly clenched his fists. Come with us, and we will explain everything. The short one said. Or you can stay here with unanswered questions about your brother. The choice is yours. Then the 2 cloaked men dashed off into the forest speedily. Saru shouted, wait, and followed behind them trying to catch up. What are we going to do if he declines our offer? The fat one asked quietly so that Saru did not hear. Do not worry, Kagai-san. We will not allow him to enter our base and leave it without accepting our offer alive. The tall one said. After a few hours, Saru stopped behind him as they stared down into a very large lake. Where are we going? Saru asked. The man named Kagai turned around and said angrily, "Do not speak unless spoken to." Saru stayed quiet and watched as the tall man raised his arms high up in the air. The water in the lake drifted to both sides, leaving a clear, dry passage to a very large boulder. They walked toward the boulder and entered it as if it were never there in the first place. Once inside, the tall man put his arms down, releasing the water, allowing it to flow back down. Saru could hear the water filling up again. "What do you want to know?" the tall man asked, still not showing his face or any part of his body. "Where is my brother?" Saru asked, looking around. The base was very large, and had many staircases and hallways. "Your brother, Sora, is S," the tall man said, delivering news that had shattered Saru's heart right then and there. Saru fell to his knees, already in tears. What? He couldn't believe what he was hearing. That meant that all he had done, Haburi's death, the training, was for nothing. He was at the hands of a boy named Uzumaki Naruto. Kagai said. Saru repeated the name to himself, whispering it over and over again. How long ago was this? 3 years ago, Kagai said. It was definitely a tragic loss for this clan. Sora was a very strong shinobi who had completed many missions for us. He risked his life countless times to achieve goals that he believed in. What clan? Saru asked, standing up. What is your name, little boy? Kagai asked. Saru. Well, Saru, the taller man spoke up this time. We belong to a small clan known as the Shouten. Originally, we were made up of 6 members. Now we are down to 5. Sadly, your brother was the one to S among us. We may be a small clan, but we are all strong and skilled shinobi. But all of us are S-ranked criminals, as was your brother. You saw what he did to your parents. Why are you telling me this? Saru asked. Because, we want to make you an offer. Kagai said. The tall man crouched down to Saru's level. However, his face was still unable to be seen. Saru, we can bring your brother back. With those words, it seemed as though Saru had been born again. He smiled slightly, asking, how? It will take time, and we will need your help. We have preserved his body so that we may revive him one day. Would you like to see it? The tall man asked. Saru nodded. The 3 of them went into another very large room. There were 3 coffins, each of them standing up. The coffin was clear, so you could see what was inside it. Saru didn't pay any attention to anyone except the one with his brother in it. Sora, he said softly, touching the exterior of the coffin. What are you willing to do to get him back? The tall man asked. Anything. Saru answered quickly. I will give my body, mind, and soul just to have him alive. I can give you my word that the Shouten clan will do everything in its power to get your brother back. In return, we only ask one thing. The tall man said. And what is that? Saru asked, ready to agree. Your complete allegiance to this clan, ready to do anything once we tell you what to do. Remember, Saru, we are criminals. We may ask you to do things that seem unnecessary to you, but we are all working for one thing. The tall man informed him. What are you all working for? Saru asked. That is information that we cannot give you at this moment. But all will be revealed to you in good time. What is your decision? Remember, once you swear your allegiance to us, you are ours, our own personal tool, for good. That tall man said. If you can guarantee my brother's revival, then the deal is done. Saru said. Very well then. The tall man said. Naruto kept running away from what he thought was his family. He was hurt, not physically, but he was deeply hurt emotionally. He headed for the place where he used to go to escape from his troubles, the waterfalls where he fought Guru. He sat on the pillar where he always sat when he visited that place. There was something about the waterfalls, the nature, which gave him peace. It was as if that place was an alternate universe, where he had a completely different life. Going there made him forget of all his troubles. Usually, he just sat there, admiring the beautiful scenery. But this time was different. He couldn't stop thinking about what had just happened. He had just killed his mother, the 3rd Uzumaki. Now it was only him and his brother left. He wanted to know what happened to his clan, but he had no source for answers. His mother could have possibly answered many questions, but not anymore. His chance was gone. How could they not have told him? That was all he needed to snap. He could never go back again. What kind of family was he living for before? He was so blind, but not anymore, now he could see things clear as day. Nobody truly cared about him. All his friends were S. His life was a complete mess. After contemplating on that for a few hours, Naruto left the place and once again entered the forest. He traveled for miles without stopping. He couldn't stop, not now. He knew that soon enough, they would send out some members to retrieve him. The question was who. He knew that he could take on about 2 of them. But he was not match for 3. This thought only made Naruto run faster away from them. He ran for a few more hours until he sensed another shinobi's presence. He stopped and waited as his own bee brother came out to greet him. "Hinata, you are back," Kisame said as Hinata walked through the entrance to their base. "Where's Naruto?" Hinata sighed as she sat down on a nearby rock. "Kisame-sama, he's gone." "What?" Kisame asked angrily. "What do you mean by that?" "He's gone. He's not coming back. He ran away as soon as he found out who Naomi really was." Hinata explained. "Why didn't you try to stop him?" Kisame asked. Hinata chuckled. "I'm not strong enough to stop him." "You're not strong enough yet," Itachi said, appearing out of nowhere. "You will eventually surpass him. Even though he has been training for much longer, you have much more potential than he could ever have." "What are you going to do about Naruto?" Hinata asked. Itachi sighed. "Naruto is all grown up now, he has to take responsibilities for his own actions. Normally, we would let him go. But we have to bring him back, he already knows too much." "What will you do if he doesn't comply?" Hinata asked. "We will have to end his life. You understand, Kisame, don't you?" Itachi asked. Kisame nodded his head in sadness. "I always knew this day would come. I just never expected it to be like this." "Hinata, will you help if he turns against us?" Kisame asked. Hinata stood up straight. "I'm ready to give my life for this organization, always have been. It doesn't matter who, I will take him out. But let me tell you right now, I saw Naruto fighting his mother. He poses a much greater threat than she ever did. He tried to look like he was trying, but any skilled shinobi could tell he wasn't even trying half of his total ability during that fight. If you want to take him down, you're going to need at least a few of us. We know that," Itachi said. "The day has finally come, where Naruto would turn against us. We were always afraid of this day. He is very powerful, along with a demon inside of him. Before he goes down, he is sure to release his demon powers, for that we will all go. Kisame, you, Zetsu, Minyopaku, and I will be needed for this mission. I always knew he would eventually surpass us," Kisame said with a slight smile on his face. "I just never knew it was going to be so soon. Our whole organization split into 2 for his sake. How can he possibly think that we don't care about him? But we can't have anything that will affect his judgment, and that variable was one of them. The time is coming when the other side will act upon us. They want to take you away from us, so they can have the upper hand. They believe in different things than us. When will we go?" Hinata asked. "Tomorrow. Dawn. Be ready," Itachi said, leaving the base to go somewhere else. "In order for you to be in, we need to test your strength," the tall man said. "Well, how about a match right now?" Saru asked, smiling as he looked down at his rocky arm. "We never fight members here. That results in serious consequences," the tall man said harshly. "Instead, I'm going to send you on a mission to prove your strength. But first I would like you to meet some people." Just then, 2 people arrived where they were. They too were both wearing the large black cloaks that covered every inch of their body. "Introduce yourselves," the tall man said politely. "This is Saru, he may join us." The first one lifted his hands and pulled down his hood so that his face was visible. "My name is Ignorance. Just call me 8. 8 had long black hair and black eyes." "8, why do you have such an unusual name?" Saru asked. 8 sighed but smiled. "That's because I was named after what should be an 8th sin. I wasn't born like you were, I was created, by this man right here." 8 patted Kagai on the back. "Yes, I am basically the scientist in this organization," Kagai explained. 8 has the unique ability to shapeshift into any living being he wants. He also has a skeleton consisting of pure metal solids, a different mix of many to create the strongest of all metals. He is also very flexible and can bend his body many different ways with no pain at all. There is one disadvantage that ignorance does not have. He lacks the ability to perform any kind of ninjutsu or genjutsu. Then Saru looked at the second person, who then put his hood down. This person had long black hair as well, but he had his tied up in a ponytail. He almost looked like a girl. When he spoke, Saru could hear the kindness in his voice, and wondered what this person was doing in this organization. Hello Saru. You are very young to be joining the Shouten. I too am young. As a matter of fact, I turned 19 about a month ago. I'm glad to have met you Saru. My name is Haku. Now, Haku and 8 will accompany you know your mission. The objective is to collect the bee of a Sannin named Orochimaru. After you have collected the bee, K him, and report straight back here. You will be fighting, these two will be here for support. Trust me, you're going to need it. Orochimaru is definitely at a cage level. Haku and 8 will give you the specifics as you go now. Simply follow them and listen closely on what they have to say. The tall man ordered. Go now. You will receive your own cloak such as ours once you have completed your mission. With that, they were off. They left the base and traveled through the forest. First thing you should know Saru, is that Orochimaru has an accomplice. His name is Kabuto. We were very good friends long ago until we each took our separate paths. But he keeps me posted on the whereabouts of Orochimaru every time I visit him. It's been 3 years since I've talked to him, but I know exactly where to find him. We are going to go in there, and you will ask for Kabuto. He will be sitting in the room that we will enter. Then I'll talk with him from there. It's time we take action. You will handle Kabuto while on the other hand 8 and I will go after Orochimaru. Do you understand? Haku asked. Yes. Saru answered, ready for battle. When they finally arrived to a hidden cave, they were led to a very dark and large room. With a few candles lit on the sides of the walls. Saru could barely see a chair with someone sitting on it. He decided to speak up. Kabuto? He asked. A dark and deep voice answered him. It was not the answer he expected. Kabuto's S, and if you're looking for Orochimaru, he's not here. If you have a problem, then take it up with me. What's your business here? Haku then spoke up frowning. What happened to him? The person sitting in the chair stood up and stepped closer to them saying coldly, I K him. The person stepped into the light. He had dark black hair that was exceptionally long. He had bangs to the side of his face and in his eyes were the Sharingan with 3 komas. What's your name kid? 8 asked. Uchiha, Sasuke. Ketsu, Naruto said softly staring intently into his brother's eyes. It truly has been a long time Naruto, Ketsu replied staring right back at Naruto. So what are we to do now? Ketsu, I have to discuss something with you. What is the last memory you have of me? Naruto asked leading up to a point. I remember that you saved my life, and I owe it to you. One day, I'm going to save yours. Ketsu with a smile. But before I could say a single thing, 4 men came and got you. I haven't seen you since that day. I've always wondered what happened to you. I gave up hope that you were still alive about a year ago. Ketsu answered. Well, there's an explanation for that. I belong to the Akatsuki organization. Naruto said. I know, you were the famous 13-year-old that could destroy villages. I always wanted to fight you. Ketsu said. Well, that day, the Akatsuki came to take me back to the base. I have a demon inside me Ketsu. The 9-tailed Kyubi. Our father sealed this demon inside of me when I was a baby. I was then tortured every day until I was 3. There, the Akatsuki rescued me and trained me until I was 13. We have been looking for all the demon vessels so we could extract the demon and gain that power for our own use. I participated in the Chunin exams to capture the 1-tailed demon vessel. The mission was a failure. Naruto explained. Wait, if they were looking for the demon vessels, then why did they train you to become member? Ketsu asked. Since I had the 9-tailed demon, they figured that they could use me for their own use. And when I unleashed the demon, they would extract it from me, leading to my death. I was a tool for them, and I never knew. An Akatsuki member named Akuma created a strong seal that further sealed my demon inside of me so it was much harder to be unleashed. But as I got stronger, the seal would get weaker. Until that day that I saved you. I lost control because my brother was in danger. They captured me and brought me back to the base, telling me everything. Then there was a dispute over me. 4 of us wanted to save my life, the other 5 wanted to extract it and kill me. Luckily we escaped. We then recovered another demon vessel, the only person that had the demon extracted but still lived. Somehow, the demon's power stayed within her, but the demon itself was extracted. She was the Akatsuki's secret weapon, their trump card. With her amazing potential, she could win wars for them. Luckily, we were able to take her coffin with us. Naruto said. Coffin. She was Ketsu asked. No, only frozen, preserved. There is no limit to her power. After a few months, they sent me off to an island, where I trained there for 2.5 years. That's where I've been for so long. When I came back, they sent me on a mission along with the demon vessel. Her name is Hinata. She had definitely improved an unimaginable amount, almost to my level at the present moment. The mission was to assassinate a person who was meddling with the Akatsuki affairs, or our side at least. They said that she could ruin all of our plans. Naruto said. I see, Ketsu replied. Do you remember our mother? Naruto asked. Ketsu looked up at the sky saying, vaguely. I remember that she left me when I was small. Jiraiya found me a few months later and I stayed with him ever since. All I know is that I was trying to find her for about 7 years. I gave up after that, realizing that she was probably I wanted to find out about my past. I don't even know my father. Naruto sighed. At least you have a memory of our mother. I don't remember our parents at all. But I have something to tell you. What is it? Ketsu asked, feeling curious. Whatever I say today, I want you to know. You may hate me, but you can't change the fact that we are brothers. I will always be here for you, even though you may resent me and despise me after what I say to you here right now. Naruto began. I met her. Ketsu's eyes widened as he said, what? Her name is Uzumaki Naomi. Naruto said. How is she? How did you meet her? What was she like? Where is she now? Ketsu asked, feeling a light flicker inside of him. Naruto looked down in sadness. Ketsu, Naomi was the person we had to assassinate. Her and her teammates. I swear that I had no idea. With her last breaths, she said, you look just like your father. At that moment I realized that she was the 3rd Uzumaki alive. And I killed her. After the battle, Hinata told me that if they told me who she was, then I wouldn't be able to kill her. I can't understand why the Akatsuki would make me do something like that. All my life, I always felt that I belonged with them. I felt as if they were family. But even though I felt that, I still felt that something was out of place. But when they stood up for me, I knew that they truly cared about me. I wasn't smart enough to look past their lies. They only wanted me as a weapon longer. I left the Akatsuki, for good. I won't go back there ever again. I'm sure that they will be after me though. I only wish for your forgiveness. I know that you were looking for our mother, but now that hope is gone. I'm truly sorry. I know that I don't deserve your forgiveness, but if you could find it in your heart, to one day be able to overlook this and call me brother again, that would mean the world to me. Naruto said, kneeling down to Ketsu. Ketsu walked up to Naruto and put his hand on his head. Stand up, brother, and look me in the eyes. Naruto stood up so that his blue eyes met Ketsu's. They both had tears in their eyes, and stood there in silence. Ketsu then raised his fist and punched Naruto hard in the face. Naruto fell to the ground a few feet away from him. Get up again. Ketsu screamed, crying more. Naruto did as he was told and stood there, looking devastated. Ketsu walked up to Naruto and then stood there for a moment. After a few seconds, he hugged his brother tightly. Naruto, all is forgiven. Nobody can ever take you away from me. You'll always be with me, you're my brother. Ketsu said as Naruto hugged him back. They both let their tears drip down from their cheeks and fall lightly on each other's shoulders. You know, Naruto began as they stopped embracing each other. Before I left, I told Hinata that I had only one thing left to live for, my real family. The only person I had left in the world, and I said your name. Ha, 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 ha. So small insignificant Naruto has found his brother at last. Zetsu said loudly as he watched from a tree branch above them. Zetsu-san. Naruto shouted as he looked up. There's only one, we can take him. Ketsu said with total confidence. No, they wouldn't be that dumb. They would send at least 3 members of the 5, and Hinata. That's the minimum. Naruto said looking around. Just keep your eyes peeled, they're here somewhere. Soon enough, Kisame, Itachi, Hinata, and Minio appeared completely surrounding them. Itachi then spoke, Naruto, we are going to bring you back. Any attempt of resistance will result in death. If you do not comply, we have no choice but to end your life. You have gotten out of hand. Naruto smiled even though it was 5 against 2. Are you that afraid of my powers, Itachi, that you would bring everybody to stop just one person? I'm not going back. I belong with my brother Ketsu. Your words will not save you, neither will your brother. You have brought death upon both of you. Itachi said coldly. Then, a very familiar voice was heard by all. Everybody turned around to see 5 Akatsuki members appear with Akuma leading them. As I said before, Itachi, he was a dangerous boy. You should have listened and we could have then extracted his demon. Then we would still be one group and wouldn't have this rivalry between us. But you chose him, and look where he brought you. It's too late to go back now, Itachi. Your side of the Akatsuki will perish soon enough. We are here for him as well as the other demon vessel. This could get messy, Naruto said as he stood by Ketsu, both of them ready to battle. It was one side of the Akatsuki, against the other side of the Akatsuki, against Naruto and Ketsu. Both sides wanted Naruto's demon, Akuma's side wanted Hinata as well. The tension quickly built up as a great battle began. Kabuto served his purpose anyway. 8 said, putting his hand on Haku's shoulder for comfort. We would have to have done this eventually anyway. Instead, this brat took care of him for us. We want Orochimaru's B. Haku said. We won't leave until we have it. Where is he? Saru felt a shiver down his spine as he heard an evil chuckle from the darkness. I'm here. It's my B that you want. And your life, Haku shouted. Saru, handle this Sasuke boy, we will take care of Orochimaru. Hi, Saru said as he ran towards Sasuke ready to K his opponent. 8 and Haku ran to fight Orochimaru. So that boy is from the Amatari clan? Orochimaru asked as he dodged several swings from 8 as Haku ran to catch up. As a matter of fact he is. Haku shouted as he jumped up and landed on Orochimaru's head, kicking him to the ground. Orochimaru stood up quickly, still smiling. I'm sure we could come to a compromise. What do you say? You're not exactly in the position to make demands, buddy. 8 said, smiling as he punched Orochimaru through the wall. Orochimaru still kept his devious smile. Let me give you my offer, it will be your choice to accept it or not. The deal is, you walk away with your lives and my B. I walk away with my life, Sasuke, and the boy that you brought here with you. That's the worst deal you can possibly get. What makes you think we are going to lose against you? Haku asked as he punched Orochimaru back though another wall inside the building once again. I have some leverage. Sasuke, take care of that boy. Orochimaru shouted to his apprentice. Saru caught up to Sasuke, who stood completely still. Saru then swung at Sasuke's face with his left fist. Saru looked into his opponent's eyes as his punch missed. Sasuke backed up, put his foot in Saru's path, tripping him in the process, and grabbed Saru's left normal arm. He then put his other hand on Saru's left shoulder, ready to pull Saru's arm out of its socket. No! Saru shouted as Sasuke pulled Saru's arm completely off of his body, leaving him with one rocky arm and B all over his clothes and the floor. Saru! Haku shouted. Alright, we'll let you live, but we're taking the boy. Orochimaru then said, you're not in a position to make demands. But you have a deal. However, leave the boy's arm here. 8 took out a small glass vial that was empty. Orochimaru got a kunai and see his arm, leaking B into the vial and onto the floor. Let's go! 8 shouted as he and Haku ran out of the place, grabbing Saru on their way. What the hell happened back there, Saru? Haku asked. I never expected it, but he used the Mangekyo Sharingan, making me vulnerable to attacks afterwards. That's how he got a hold of my arms. I feel weak, Saru said. Don't speak, save your energy, at this rate, you could be loss. Haku said. 8. Do you have his B? Right here. 8 pulled out the vial full of B and smiled. Now Kagai can make the ultimate shinobi. Kagai, Kagai. 8 screamed as he, Haku, and Saru ran into the base frantically. Saru stayed quiet even though he was in a great pain with his arm gone. Even though he was glad Sasuke had not ripped off his special arm, he still cried silently because he was helpless. He was suffering from a great deal of B loss as well. Kagai took a quick look at Saru's wound and then drew a conclusion saying, there is only one solution to this problem. He will be lost soon enough, his only option is to have an arm sewn onto him. Obviously it can't be any of ours, so we will need to find someone. Well then I'll just go rip off somebody's left arm and bring it back here. 8 shouted angrily. It's not that simple. Kagai screamed back. It has to be roughly about the same size and same B type. The foreign arm could not contain any diseases whatsoever. The problem is that we don't have enough time to find just any person. There is one option, but we will have to let Saru decide. What is that? Saru asked, looking at Kagai with hope. Kagai sighed, then saying, your brother Sora is your only option. He is of your B, your own relative nonetheless. He is also frozen and clean, so no diseases or viruses run through his B. However, the process will cause Sora to lose his rocky arm, resulting in you having to. There will be no problems with this procedure, because it appears that no B runs through the rocky arm. He will be fine, just armless. It's your decision, Saru. I am thinking in long terms, and I'm going to go through with it because our leader said he needed me. I swore I would do everything I could to bring him back. When he is alive again, I will give him back his arm, and take another person's. We will have enough time to do it then when he is alive. Please Kagai, do this procedure on me. Saru said desperately. It will only take a matter of minutes for me. Kagai said, rushing over to Saru, making him lie down on the ground. 8. I want you to go get me Sora's body. Unfreeze it then bring it here. Haku, bring me my long tool tray from my laboratory. The 2 shinobi disappeared and reappeared a few moments later bringing what was needed. Kagai was right. After a few minutes, Saru felt B circulating his body instead of leaving it. He looked at himself and found that he now had 2 rocky arms. They both seemed to work fine. You need some rest, Saru, get some soon. Kagai said. 8. Freeze back Sora's body and put it back in the glass coffin. But first, you have something for me. Saru watched intently as 8 handed the vial of Orochimaru's B over to Kagai, who was smiling very deviously. Finally, with the last ingredient needed, I will be able to create a shinobi stronger than all of us. He will be my greatest creation. The B of the 3 Sannin, what a joyous day this is. Kagai shouted. You fool. 8 shouted, grabbing a tight hold of Kagai's wrist, holding him back. If you create somebody stronger than all of us, then how can we stop him if he turns against us? There may be casualties in the Shouten. Who knows how angry our leader would be? I know you do not want to see him angry again, Kagai, remember the last time. Suddenly a face of fear spread upon Kagai's face. It quickly faded as he then said, I have already discussed this with him. I will have control over him, not to worry, I am his creator. Now if you'll excuse me, I'm going to create a weapon that could wreak havoc across the country. Kagai suddenly stormed off with Orochimaru's B into a dark room and quickly shut the door behind him. Saru heard the door click several times as Kagai locked the door behind him. How long will this take? Saru asked. Nobody knows for sure, Haku replied, staring at the door Kagai had just locked behind him. For some, it may only take minutes, but judging by him locking the door, it may possibly take hours, or even days. How long did it take to make you? Saru asked 8. It took about 4 months to gather everything. It took about 2 days to create me. The Sannin's B is the main ingredient for this shinobi. He will have all jutsu from each of them and have each of their abilities, such as Tsunde's unusual strength. He will truly be his greatest creation, 8 said. What happened when our leader got mad? Saru asked politely. Haku then spoke to him saying, Saru, many things may seem hidden from you because the Shouten cannot reveal everything at once. You will slowly gain more and more of his trust until you will finally have learned everything. You are free to ask questions, but do not feel bad when sometimes we do not answer them. As for now, let's take a walk, I've been meaning to talk to you. Haku and Saru then left the base as 8 returned Sora's body to the way it was, frozen and in the coffin. Naruto, face it, it's over for you. Do you think that even if you have improved, you can take down all of the Akatsuki and Hinata? Itachi asked. Look around, you stand no chance. Just give up now and save the trouble. Why is this kid smiling? Akuma asked, a little agitated. I'm smiling because I know this is going to be a challenge. But my brother Ketsu and I, well, if we stick together, I know we can pull through any obstacles that come our way. I see this as one of them. So do you know what I say, Itachi? I say that if it's over for me, then it'll be over for you as well. I won't let my brother and I in vain. I will fight with every bit of me and take as many of you down as I can. I have all the family I need right here. Naruto patted Ketsu on the back, who was very tense. Ketsu, let me introduce you to the Akatsuki. On the right side, we have Itachi, Kisame, Zetsu, Minyopaku, and Hinata. On the left side we have Akuma, Deidara, Sasori, Hiden, and Kakazu. They are all very strong, but don't let that fact get to you. I'm sure we can take a lot of them on. Remember, brother, I will be with you until the end of time. Naruto, you are my brother, I won't let you Don't say such things. Even if the odds are against us, we can still do this thing. Ketsu said, smiling slightly. Itachi, surrender Hinata to us now, and we will let you off easy. You can take this the simple or hard way, it's your choice. Akuma said forcefully. We wouldn't give you the greatest weapon of all time for anything, Akuma. You will simply have to kill us all in order to take her. Itachi said, smiling. That can be arranged, Deidara said, chuckling a bit. Let's stop arguing, Naruto shouted, raising his hands. Let us settle this once and for all. As soon as that was said, the battle had immediately started. The Akatsuki went straight for each other, side against side. Hinata rushed after Ketsu, who jumped high in the air above everybody. Naruto joined the one-on-one battle between Akuma and Itachi. Kisame and Zetsu paired up to fight Sasori and Kakazu. Minyopaku was alone to fight Deidara and Hiden. The battle was set, the fury was everywhere, and the intent was almost visible. Haku and Saru walked slowly through the forest. They both stayed silent, listening to the birds chirp. Saru, Haku began, I brought you out here to tell you something. And what is that? Saru asked, still amazed with his new arm. It seemed even better than his old arm and other arm that he had now. Well, I too joined the Shouten for the exact same reason as you. Did you get a good look at each person in the 3 coffins? Haku asked. No, I was too busy looking at my brother. I almost thought I'd never see him again, and I was so close to him. He said there is a way to revive him, and that's why I'm here. Saru said. You swore your allegiance to the Shouten because you want to save your brother. Your brother is important to you, is he not? Yes, Saru said. Before I joined the Shouten, I traveled with a friend. I considered him a father to me. His name is Momoki Zabuza. We always traveled together. You see, he found me when I was abandoned long ago. He took care of me, he made sure I was alright. So I followed him, he is my special person. I would gladly give up my life for him any day. But I couldn't save him from his death. Many Anbu members had been tracking us down over the years and finally caught up with us. We were surrounded by so many, the odds were completely against us, yet we still fought for our freedom from the law. We couldn't yet, but the exact opposite happened of what I wanted. Instead of me to protect Zabuza, he saved my life by his. There was no pain greater than to see him fall to the ground lifeless. I finished off the rest of our opponents in rage. It was at that time, when our leader found me. He gave me the same deal that he offered you. And I quickly accepted it. This was 4 years ago. Haku explained. Saru's eyes opened wide as Haku spoke the last sentence. 4 years. Saru asked to reassure himself. Yes, Haku said sadly. I swore my allegiance to him, and he took advantage of it. Where am I? Am I with Zabuza? The answer is no. He is still and there is no way to bring him back. I've come to accept that. Our leader lied to both of us. There be there to bring us hope, but it is false. I only tell you now, because you still have a chance to get out. It'll be hard, but I'm sure that you can get out of this. The truth hurts, but I tell you no lies, your brother is beyond saving. Saru fell to his knees almost in tears. You lie. He'll come back. Maybe you weren't loyal enough, so our leader didn't grant you your wish yet. Have you thought of that? Actually, I have, Haku said. I've been nothing but loyal, but as I said, I've come to accept the cold truth. Our loved ones are gone for good. We can't do anything about it. It's my life that I have to look after, not Zabuza's. Zabuza S so that I could have a future. What's the use of his death if I S now? If I can't save him, then at least I can carry out his S wish, for me to live, to breathe, and to fight for my survival, for my existence. This has taught me a lot, and I can tell you now that I regret every day not having S myself. But I can't go back in time, it has already happened. I'm alive and Zabuza is S. You have to come to accept your brother's death as well. Haku, you're wrong. Saru was now in tears. He couldn't believe that there was a possibility that Haku was right. Haku had all the reasons, all the proof. But all this meant was that he would never be able to talk to his brother again. He would never be able to find out about his clan's history or about his family. Haku was right, then Saru had nothing to live for anymore. No Saru, I'm not wrong, it's just not what you want to hear. Listen to me, get out of the Shouten. You will risk your life for nothing. I have wasted 4 years of my life, thinking about this every single day. I've asked our leader to revive him countless times, and every time he has the same excuse, the time will come, I only need to be patient. Well, you know what? I have been patient, and I'm tired of it, but I can't do anything. If I want to keep my life, then I will have to keep my oaths. It's not too late for you. Do as I say, Haku shouted. If our leader says that he'll revive Zabuza, then he will. You have to believe him. You have no trust, Saru argued. Haku then punched Saru in the stomach, knocking out his air completely from his body. How can you say something like that? You've been in the Shouten for 10 minutes, don't act like you know anything. You don't, you are just a tool, when he doesn't need you anymore, he'll dispose of you. Nobody knows exactly what he's planning, but since you're here, he needs you for something. But when he has no use for you anymore, then your life will be just as good as the thousands of others he has. He is unstoppable, he may even be the strongest shinobi there is or ever was, you don't know anything about anything. So keep your mouth shut. You only make yourself look like a fool. Why can't you see that I'm trying to warn you? What do I have to gain if you leave? The answer is nothing. I only have my life to possible lose just by telling you this. Rebellion is the worst thing there is in the Shouten, but you still have a chance to get out of this. Forget about your brother Saru, he's gone. He's gone and nothing can change that, you need to learn to accept it just as I have, but you have a real chance to do something with your life, become someone. No, I don't. I came the Hokage of Konoha just before I left to find my brother. If I go back, then my life will be over anyway. They are already looking for me, I am safe here. I can't just leave, the reason is because what if you're wrong? There is still a slight possibility that our leader is just waiting for the right moment to resurrect Zabuza. And that's the only hope that I have to rely on. I can't just walk out, I'll be within a few months if I do. I don't want to leave my brother, I want to be by his side, I want him alive right with me. It doesn't matter what it takes, I'll do it. And if he won't give me what he promised, then I'll make him do it. Saru said, raising his fist to the sky. Your determination is almost inspirational, but it truly is pathetic. You are blind, but it's your decision, I can't decide for you. There is no way you can make him do what you want, he answers to no one. There are many things that you don't know about him, Haku managed to stop what he was about to say. I can't tell you. You'll soon find out about him. Things are starting to change around here, the Shouten will be making its move very soon. I hate being excluded from all this. Everybody keeps saying I'll know soon enough, but I want to know now. Tell me, Haku. Saru shouted angrily. It's not my place to reveal these things to you. If I do, it could cost me my life. My life is exactly what I'm trying to protect. I've given up hope on trying to raise Zabuza, I know now that you can't, nobody can, and that's the end of it. Haku said, looking down. I can't believe that's what you wanted to tell me. Is that why you brought me out here, Haku? To tell me to give up hope? How do I know you're not lying? For all I know, you could have some plan behind this. I'm not going to believe you, I can't, this is all I have. Saru said. Haku was infuriated. You fool. If that is what you want, then so be it. But know that in the Shouten, you must live up to our leader's expectations. And I promise you that he is only using you. Don't listen to me, and you will get what you truly deserve. Is that a threat? Saru asked. How would you know anything? You are probably being used as well. If he's fooling me, then he's fooling you too. Zabuza is worthless to him, and to the world. He's only precious to you, but then again, what do you matter? That was the last straw. Haku appeared right in front of Saru, lifting him up in the air by his en with one hand. Do not talk about me and Zabuza like that. I will KO you without hesitation. Why don't you go ahead and try it? Saru screamed as he attempted to kick Haku's face. Haku disappeared and reappeared on top of a small boulder. Saru-kun, come, and I will give you a taste of what a real Shouten member should be like. Haku said, challenging Saru. That was all Saru needed to charge at Haku. Itachi, I will show you the meaning of true power. As a team, you always seemed the best of us, but I was holding back this whole time. Akuma said with a smile. That won't be a problem because I was doing the same. Itachi said, activating his Sharingan. Well then, I guess we shall see who was holding back more. Akuma said. They both charged, closing in on the space between each other every second. Just before they collided, Naruto appeared in between them with his arms out towards them. They each ran into Naruto's open palms as Naruto said, Keru no Jutsu. Suddenly, Itachi and Akuma both felt a wave of force send them back, flying many feet away from each other. Itachi and Akuma both realized that their bi were also attached to chakra strings that were connected to Naruto's fingers. Naruto jumped up high into the air, bringing his opponents along with him, who had no choice but to follow. Naruto pulled his arms that were extended outward horizontally inward so that Akuma and Itachi were forced to fly toward each other. He then threw a kunai with an exploded tag right in between them the millisecond before they collided. Boom! Naruto fell back to the ground as Itachi and Akuma were forced away from each other once again from the impact of the explosion. Each of them was hurt very badly. Naruto was without a scratch. Ketsu had been dodging Hinata's sword swipes very easily. He had trained himself to dodge weapons when training with Ru, who mainly used his staff. Hinata seemed to lack form and was very sloppy. But that didn't mean that she wasn't fast. Ketsu had to constantly be on the move, or else he would soon be chopped up into tiny pieces. His dodging only angered Hinata, causing her to rest faster. Ketsu saw his advantage when Hinata swung her sword down vertically. He simply moved the sword more down and drove his fist into Hinata's face, sending her flying into a nearby tree and denting it. Her sword was now on the ground beside Ketsu. Now you are weaponless, what are you going to do? Ketsu asked with a slight smile. Hinata dashed at Ketsu, who swung at her incoming head. She moved out of the way and whirled around Ketsu, staying low to the ground so she could grab her sword back, but Ketsu had his foot over her sword. Ketsu only struck the top of her head, sending her to the ground on her belly. Pathetic, Ketsu said, lifting his foot off of Hinata's sword. Take it back. You're really going to be needing it. I'm going to get serious. Hinata grabbed her sword and positioned herself to fight, saying, then so am I. Bukieitsu. She quickly crouched down and s her sword into the ground, causing hundreds of different blades to be shot up from underground all in and around Ketsu's location. The weapons differed from swords to spears to even daggers. Hinata smiled when she saw that Ketsu was in the air above her, coming down. She lifted up her sword, saying, Shidinasan no Jutsu. The sky quickly grew dark and a lightning bolt suddenly struck down on Ketsu. Suddenly Hinata was knocked back many feet back and she was in great pain. Once Hinata realized what just occurred, she attempted to stand up as Ketsu began to explain to her, clarifying her questions, but she realized that she could not move even a finger. I knew you were going to use an element of some sort to attack me. I had my hand up just in case you would send down lightning, and you did. What you didn't notice was that I had a Rasengan in my hand that was pointing toward the sky. This Rasengan is special, the perfected Rasengan of all time. Instead of your opponent having the element of surprise, you can turn it straight around just like I did to you. This Rasengan is practically invisible, it has 10 times the force of a regular one, and it can absorb any types of attack. I can block a taijutsu attack with it and drive it into my opponent, multiplying the force of the hit. So I absorbed your lightning bolt, and now you are temporarily paralyzed. Ketsu stepped forward until he was beside Hinata. He smiled as he said, face it, you never had a chance to defeat me. This battle was over as soon as you stepped into it. Now you have to learn to withstand the consequences. I'll do whatever it takes to ensure my brother's survival, Even if it means giving up my own life, even if it means K my opponent, in your case, that's you. I won't let you do this, Hinata said. You can't stop me. Ketsu argued, prying Hinata's sword from her stiff fingers. He lifted the sword above his head so that the point of the blade was pointing straight at Hinata. Then he drove the sword deep into her chest so that the only thing you could see was the handle sticking out of her body. The blade had pierced completely through her body and went into the ground, pinning her body down. Great amounts of B gushed out of her body as Ketsu patted her forehead, saying, "You'll definitely feel that in a minute. Now remember, nobody wants to hear you scream, but by the time you do feel it, you will be too weak from B loss that you probably won't even be able to think right. Goodbye." Ketsu dashed off to join a different battle, leaving Hinata there in her own puddle of B, paralyzed, temporarily weakening by the second. Naruto, Hinata is taken care of, Ketsu said, reuniting with his brother as Itachi and Akuma stood up in pain, closing in on them. Good job, Ketsu. Now all we need is some leverage in this battle. They all want to capture me, so in the end, it's going to come down to us battling about everybody. We need more people. Even though I trust in our strength, I know that we alone are not enough to defeat them. But I have just the thing to help us out. Rise, Ada Bushi, Naruto said, lifting his arms up into the air. Suddenly, a great samurai warrior appeared in front of Naruto, his bones rotting, and his flesh peeled off. His armor and sword were both very rusted, but his sword was still very sharp. Impossible, Akuma shouted angrily. You said that Bushi exploded, self-destructing himself. Naruto smiled. He did, but his physical form cannot be changed by that, it can only be changed by the process of nature. Now, Zenyu no Jutsu. Naruto walked toward Ada Bushi and grasped his bony arm. As soon as his hand came in contact with his Yu ally, Bushi began to heal very quickly. His flesh came back, his bones became stronger, and his organs became fresh again. His skin reappeared and he seemed alive again, to have color in his complexion. Bushi turned to Naruto as his armor and sword's rust began to fade away and become shiny and hard once again. Thank you, Naruto, for giving me my life back. How can this be? Akuma asked, even more agitated. It is impossible to bring someone back from the S without having to S one's own life. What kind of jutsu are you using, Naruto? You're right, Akuma. But he's not alive, his soul is not within his body anymore. He has a mind, but that along with all his flesh and bone will rot back to its original state after 24 hours. But for now, he's a live weapon. I give you Ada Bushi in his prime, unstoppable according to the legends. Naruto said, smiling. This is our leverage, Ketsu. Good enough for me, Ketsu said, still ready to fight. Bushi, please, do me the favor of fighting on my side. Give me your loyalty, I beg of you. These monsters wish to K me, I want you to protect us and K as many as you possibly can. Naruto said. Your wish is my command. Bushi said, bowing slightly. He then turned to face the battle that was taking place between Kisame and Zetsu against Sasori and Kakazu. He took a step forward but stopped as a new foe arose. Hinata stood in his way, a large aura of clear chakra surrounded her entire body. Her long hair moved like it was a windy day, and she wanted revenge. She held her sword very tightly and ignored the blade that was now stained with her B. Her wound was completely healed, but her clothes were drenched. I cannot let you pass, Hinata said through her gritted teeth. Hinata, Itachi said, we taught you how to copy moves. Bushi will self-destruct and explode, taking as many people along with him before he S. I don't want you to K him, toy with him first so that he uses all his moves. Trust me, you can definitely learn some very S moves from a great samurai such as him. Hi, Hinata said without looking back. Ada Bushi also held his sword tightly in front of him. Not a moment later and they both jumped high up into the air as they fought with their blades, testing each other's strength, as well as will to survive. I don't understand, Ketsu said sadly. Though I K her, she was sure to be S. Naruto then reassured him. Ketsu, Hinata is different from everyone else. While all the demon vessels S when the demon is extracted from them, Hinata survived. She has great potential, her clear chakra is neutral, and she has no demon in her. Her chakra must have healed her wound. I knew that she would definitely be our greatest problem, but Bushi can stall and buy us time. Are you saying that even the great Ada Bushi isn't strong enough to take her down? Ketsu asked. No, he's not. It may even be possible that I'm not strong enough to beat her. But I'm not going to take that chance. Let's take it one step at a time and get rid of these two fools first. Naruto said, looking at Akuma and Itachi, who were now paired ready to fight them. Kage finally had finished. He had finished creating his greatest creation yet. He opened the steel door after unlocking everything and stepped out. 8 was there sitting down waiting. What took you so long? 8 asked, sounding very bored. You have no right to talk. He is the strongest I have ever made, and he even surpasses you by a great amount. Kage said, smiling deviously. He stepped out of his lab and took out his apron, which was full of bee and other kinds of liquid that 8 did not recognize. A tall man followed behind the creator. He wore a tight black suit that fit his muscular body just like everybody else did. His name? 8 asked impatiently, standing up to greet the new member. His name is Kaji, Kage said. Now it's time to show him to our leader. I definitely want to see his reaction. 8 said, smiling. They walked through a large corridor until they finally reached a mid-sized room that had a large chair made of bones and a table in front of that chair. There was a fireplace in the background and the leader of the Shouten sat in the chair. He is ready, Kage said in the most respectful voice he could possibly muster up. Kaji entered the room followed by a beaming 8. The leader stood up, still cloaked from head to toe. He walked around and around Kaji, pondering. And you used the bee of the 3 Sannin? He asked. Kaji had short spiky hair that was black. His teeth were very white as well as sharp. He stood a little taller than 8 with an expressionless face. Yes, my lord, Kage said. Then we must act quickly. 8. You will take a trip with our new friend to Orochimaru's hideout. You want to see him in action? What is his name, by the way? The leader asked. His name is Kaji, and he will listen to whatever you say. Kage said, lowering his head. A few moments later, 8 and Kaji were in the dark room that Saru, Haku, and 8 were in many hours ago. This time, Orochimaru was there in the chair, smiling. It was as if he was expecting them. I knew you would not allow me to keep my life. So it seems there isn't much else I can do except fight for it. Orochimaru said. I think you're right. Kaji, kill him and the Uchiha that is hiding in here somewhere. 8 said in a monotone. Done. Kaji said as he stepped forward ready to face Orochimaru. I can feel his power, his potential. And I can't help but smile. You all have made the greatest mistake of your lives. So his name is Kaji then. I like it. Kaji, I want you to attack this man here that just gave you orders. Done. Kaji said as he whirled around and punched 8 forcefully through the wall. 8 stood up, wiping the rubble of his tight black suit. You fool. Orochimaru shouted, still keeping his smile. Since the other 2 Sannin are gone, that means I'm the only one who can truly control him. He is of my bee. Now you have been sent here to kill me, but you are outnumbered 3-1. Sasuke then stepped out of the darkness. All 3 of them followed 8 outside the dark room into broad daylight. You brought me my greatest weapon. Orochimaru said. With him I can achieve so many goals I had in mind much faster now. I must thank you and your organization for that. Luckily, I will let you keep your life. I want you to run back to your base wherever it is, and tell your leader that I have Kaji, and he is now under my control. 8 stood up and did as he was told. It was stupid to stay and fight when he couldn't win. He left straight for the Shouten base full of fear of what his leader might do to him after hearing the news. Sasuke, Kaji, come, we have a meeting to attend to. Orochimaru said, dashing through the forest. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.